morning, Nigeria. A new day is here, and with it, fresh stories shaping our nation and our future. This is Daybreak Live on Dominion Television. I am Samson Balogun, thankful, energized, and ready to lead you into conversations that matter most today. And I'm
Oluwayemi Adelako, delighted to be your co-pilot this morning, Samson. Whether you're rising to begin the horses, settling into work, or catching us from the comfort of your home, thank you for choosing us as your morning companion.
All right, on Daybreak Gist this morning, we begin with political storm shaking the People's Democratic Party, PDP. Factions are emerging, alliances are shifting, and the Ayahu camp is not smiling, with suspensions landing on acting national chairman Umaru Dabagun and other key figures. One question begs for answer. Is the health of the PDP heading for a major reboot or a deeper rupture?
We keep our eyes there, but first we'll take you through the weather update and the Daybreak news. A rapid sweep through the biggest headlines across Nigeria and the world.
All right, then stay with us for our newspaper review and analysis where we dig beneath the ink and tell you what today's headlines really mean for governance, politics, and everyday Nigerians.
And for the big story, we take a hard look at Nigeria's security reality and the global spotlight it has attracted. And the topic is one that concerns all and sundry: security breakdown and Trump's claim on Nigeria. Is faith under attack? Are the fears exaggerated, or are we ignoring a dangerous truth? Who is safe and what is at stake?
All right, joining us to tackle this crucial conversation is a public affairs analyst, Ignacio Zofino Ebuselume. And trust us, he is coming with strong views and deep political insight on this particular topic.
Plus, our newspaper analysis expert is in the building. This morning we have Temitope Ishala, a seasoned public affairs analyst, aviation instructor, and of course a politician, an aspiring one, and a passionate advocate for good governance. You help us connect the dots and decode the deeper implications behind the news.
All right, later on we wrap up with Trend Watch, where we scan through the streets and socials for what Nigerians are buzzing about, from the serious to the simply hilarious ones.
So get comfortable or keep moving, just don't change that channel.
All right, this is Daybreak Live, and we begin now.
Yes, we begin.
Good morning. Good to have you in the studio again. Good morning.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, there's a lot going on in the streets, and of course, most definitely, if you check the front pages of the newspaper every morning, there's always something to talk about, and that takes us to what is going on within the PDP, within the camp of the PDP. Yeah. All through last week, it was from one hand to the other. And then someone asked a critical question, asked the FCT minister a critical question and said, look, are you not destroying the PDP? He said, no, I'm not destroying the PDP. All I'm trying to do is to make sure that no one gets away with impunity. And the question is, who is actually carrying out impunity within the PDP? That's another question. Is it Wike? Is it the other camp? And most definitely, what is going on in the PDP is more or less like an approach to make sure that the National Convention set to hold in Ibadan does not hold. You remember recently one of the PDP stalwarts went to court and said, look, my signature was forged. And that was Ayahu himself. And said, look, my signature was forged. And for that reason, whoever forged my signature should be brought to book. Even the party should answer questions. And you are a critical member of the party. I mean, no political party survives without the secretary. And that is why there was problem with who becomes the secretary in the first place. And the secretary actually belongs to the camp of former governor of Rivers State, Nyesom Wike. And there are some other things happening in the PDP. It's beginning to become more or less something more of a political rancor that might not end anytime soon.
It is very sad one that PDP is going through this at this time. I don't think PDP has had it this worse. Even during the last election, 2022-2023, when the discussion was about you must leave, you must go, and then the party went through a lot. Wike said, I'm not going to support this. Let's zone presidency to the south and not to the north. I don't think a lot of persons left the PDP. Now, you mentioned Ayahu, the 19... NWC member, 15 of them at the meeting, and then during that meeting they suspended, the National Secretary Ayahu, and not just him, they also suspended the National Organizing Secretary, and that's Yuma Baturi, and they also suspended the National Legal Advisor.
It's an era of suspension.
That's Kamadin. They suspended Ajibade Kamadin, and of course other persons that were suspended, and in turn there was a counter suspension. That's where you know that there is really a big problem in the PDP. And then Ayahu and maybe two of us, because what I read was that even the National Legal Advisor was not present in the meeting that suspended the national chair. And some members of the PDP are saying Ayahu and the rest of them, they have no right whatsoever to suspend the national chair. Because they don't even know where the meeting held for them to suspend the national chair. And of course, they also suspended the national publicity secretary, that's Debo Oluguagba. So it is a big problem for the PDP. And I watched a video, I think on Sunday, and where Wike said, if the leaders of the PDP are not ready to talk to us, the convention will not hold. That's a bold statement. And the former governor, that's Ayofayo, she also came out to say, PDP, Wike is someone that you need to avoid. He fights to the finish. And I was wondering, what is going on? So I don't know how a party so bold, a party that has ruled the country for 16 years, is at a point whereby one person is holding the party to ransom. It's sad, a very sad situation, really. Don't forget that the former Jigawa governor, that's Lamido, there was a time he said he's not going to have anything to do with the PDP until Wike is suspended. But recently, what are we seeing? He's
beginning to align with
Wike. So what is going on? So we have factions in the PDP, very obvious. We have the national chair faction, that's Damagum, and we have the Wike faction alongside the national secretary who has been suspended, because according to the constitution of the PDP, they have every right to suspend some members for 1 month. And of course, another problem is the fact that the court now, some members are accusing the court to say anytime they have a case against a certain former governor in the South, they always lose that case. So what does that tell you? So going by that, they are saying the National Convention will not hold, but the PDP, the faction of the national chair, are saying that according to our constitution, we have every right to hold that convention. So the court has no right. It's an affront to the internal democracy to say they cannot hold a national convention.
You see, there's as it happens within the party, so it happens when we talk about politics generally in the country. There's always this ground, legal ground that says, look, if there's a crisis within your party, then some things cannot happen. And that includes a national convention, let's put it that way. And once some people who are also stakeholders within the party have resentments against some things being done in the party, then there's a crisis. Look at Lamido, who also intends to run for chairman of the party. Now, the problem is Lamido wants to run, and then he has not been cleared to run for the position of chairman. Unfortunately for him now, he has aligned with the, we can't really say unfortunately, but because it now depends on how he feels about aligning with the Wike faction of the PDP. Now, there are several, not just two factions now. There are several factions within the PDP. But the only thing is, they are aligning depending on the interest of each and every one of them. If Wike is doing something that actually has a lot to do with them, they align with Wike. If Seyi Makinde is doing something and they feel like, let's be part of what Seyi Makinde is doing, they align with Seyi Makinde, and so many other people within the party. Now, as it stands, former governor of Ekiti State, Ayofayo, is actually in the camp of Nyesom Wike. And do not forget, he has mentioned this about 2 or 3 times. If anyone has an issue with Nyesom Wike, he says this. When Siminalayi Fubara was to be sworn in as governor of Rivers State, he told him, he said, whatever it is you want to do as governor, now is the time for you to make sure you sort everything and anything out. Be sure that what you want to do as governor is sorted out with Nyesom Wike. Do not have issues with him, because if you do, you are going to be the one on the losing end. Because Wike will fight from start to finish. He doesn't back down. He made that statement back then. And when Fubara had issues with Nyesom Wike, unfortunately for Fubara, he was suspended. He had to, whatever it is he did, or if he had to beg his way back to office, he was reinstated as governor of Rivers State. Now, we have not had too much of Fubara against Wike, meaning that all has been sorted. Now, the governor of Oyo State is on the opposing end as it stands. He's about to hold a national convention of the PDP in Oyo State. And what Wike has successfully done now is to whether stall or stop the national convention from holding, which Ayofayo is also a part of. Now, he mentioned that recently, he also said that, look, whatever it is you want to do, Wike will not back down. He will fight to finish. And that's what he is doing. If anything is about to be sorted out within the party and it does not align with the views of Nyesom Wike, it will not happen. And we are beginning to see that now, because the convention is almost there, and then there are a lot of crises, meaning that we have had court judgment that says, look, you cannot hold that convention. The party is saying, look, we can do that because it is against our internal democracy for a court to say we cannot hold our convention. But then you do not have every member of the current ESCO on the same table. So meaning that there is no convention you do that is valid. So it's a crisis within the party. And someone made a statement just the day before yesterday and said, PDP is dead. And I was asking myself this question, is PDP really dead in Nigeria? Because if you look at the national level, I think the party has crashed. But if you look at some states, a few states in Nigeria, just like maybe Oyo State, for example, well, we can't really say that much of Osun because they are still trying to have an election, but then the PDP is still in Osun State. They have not really decamped, even though we heard about Adeleke trying to move from one party to the other a few months ago, but you couldn't do that. Now, we still have some states where PDP, but right now, about 26 states of the Federation are under the whims and caprices of the APC. And there are rumors that some states might eventually, before December, move to the APC. Now, what will be the fate of the PDP nationally by the end of December if all these 3 or 4 governors that are being muted to be on their way to the APC, if that is the case? Don't forget that finally, Budoye Diri has been received in the APC. That was done, I think, yesterday. So it is beginning to shape up within the APC. They are already having all the governors. And the reason the APC is doing this, I want to believe that the challenges the PDP is facing is being orchestrated silently by the APC. Because if you look at when the crisis arises in any state, the governor is moving to the APC. When something happens within any state, the governor is moving to the APC. Now, is Nyesom Wike recruiting governors for the APC? Because if you are going to win an election in a state, automatically you must be able to have foot soldiers in those states. And that includes having the governor and having some members of the House of Assembly and then local government chairmen and the likes. Because elections really happen at local government level. And if you have control of the local government, you have about 50% chance of winning an election. The APC is doing that. Will the PDP survive this storm? It's a big question.
Honestly. And then to add to your point, I think at this point in time, the PDP, the big shots, the stakeholders in the PDP, they know what to do to revive that party. Why do I say that? The current governor of Zamfara State, Dauda, he mentioned one thing at the time. He said the biggest problem of PDP is ego. Some persons are not willing to step down. Some persons are not willing to say, okay, Omowani,
let's compromise.
Okay, some persons are not willing to say, okay, it is time for this particular zone. Let them do it. Another problem is anti-party activity. It was so easy for this suspension to happen, but then nothing has been done against a man that most persons in the party have accused of anti-party activities. He's not been suspended yet.
The landlord of
the landlord, the sponsor, the general sponsor, President General of the PDP. I had a guest on this show this one morning, and then he came to say, he told me that Wike is PDP. PDP is Wike. So it's a problem. And we still have the NWC members. We have the BOT. You begin to wonder. I think it's a clash of power, a show of force. Okay, I want to tell you that I own everything that has to do with the PDP. I want to tell you that I call the shots in the PDP. I also read a story yesterday talking about the fact that, the national secretary that has been suspended, that's Anyanwu, went to the party secretariat, and then he was barred by some party members based on the suspension, that happened recently. It was not allowed. But then maybe through a way, or I don't even know, I heard that the police later came into the scene to make sure that, order was restored, and then he was able to enter. And of course, don't forget that, we now have Mohammed Abdurrahman, the Vice Deputy National Chair, as the acting national chair. And then I read the report that he entered the office of the current, or let me say the former now, we can't really say now. That's Ilya Damagum, the national chair that was suspended by Ayawu and his faction. He entered his office and sat on his seat. Don't forget that Ilya Damagum was not around when that happened yesterday. So what will happen when he comes back?
You see, it's really a lot to unpack with it. I think the PDP is now more or less like a cartoon channel. It's for therapy. Sometimes when you want to smile, just tune into the PDP, and then watch some things unfold. Unfortunately, what the crisis rocking the PDP really does not help the democracy in Nigeria. I mean, it doesn't help Nigeria as a country. Because if you are going to have good governance, and if you are going to advocate for good governance, there is need for strong opposition party, because that is the role. They are more or less like a government on the other hand. You see beyond what the people in power are seeing. And then when you see something wrong, you constructively criticize the ruling party and put something on the table. Oh, we have spotted this error, and this is the solution. You can always do it this way. Even no matter how rigid the ruling party is, and then they see that, oh, this is actually a problem, and then someone has provided a solution, you are still definitely going to toll that part and get things done, as long as it is in the interest of the Nigerian people. But unfortunately, as the PDP is battling its own problem, and they cannot really be an opposition that the Nigerian people actually need. And then what is the role of the ADC? I want to ask this question very quickly. The ADC, they came, and then there was this heavy noise here and there about the third force. Has it faded away just like that? Because at this time, we are not really hearing too much of the ADC. And the problem is, we do not have the PDP in a place where PDP should be. Because in a country like Nigeria, as complex as Nigeria is, we need a strong opposition party. And unfortunately, PDP is not there right now.
Okay, maybe we are not hearing anything about the ADC because some persons who want to intentionally disrupt the party have been settled in a way. I mean, that was what someone mentioned on X, just recently, to say, it's been a while we heard something about the ADC. Some persons are not saying my signature was forged, this and that. Maybe they've been able to settle, the warring parties that are not in support of, the likes of Atiku coming into the party. And I also read that INEC recently cleared ADA. Maybe the party might also come up, become the fourth party. Let's also not forget about the Labour Party. We don't even heard much about the Labour Party. They're also battling with, internal crisis, leadership crisis, and the like. It's a sad one. That's not to say that APC is also not, going through some things. But then there's one thing I admire about APC. They know how to keep their issues within. You don't get to hear much about their problems.
You remember when Senator Alim Dume was on national TV, different stations, saying so much about the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and said, look, we are being fenced. We no longer have access to the President. And then that took months. All of a sudden, he's no longer saying anything. So does that mean he has also been sorted out? And it's really a challenge. And you really cannot fault the president for being a tactician, and of course, I want to call him the political technician in Nigeria, because he understands, how to play the Nigerian politics. He's been there for more than 40 years. He has understood how the Nigerian people think. Look at recently, I mentioned this, I think that was last week, about the fact that when there's something going wrong in the country and people are really complaining, all of a sudden you see probably that bill being withdrawn, that policy being withdrawn, one way or the other. They will do something about it. The price of tea
will reduce.
I mean, is it listening? I want to ask the Nigerian people now. Does it mean that the president is listening to the Nigerian people? If he is truly listening to Nigerian people, he should, one way or the other, make sure that they do not interfere with the affairs of the opposition party in the country. Let them function, because that's the role. But if you dismantle the opposition, well, it is politics anyway. You can actually, it could be part of, his approach to win the next general election, to make sure that he weakens the opposition party. And how will he do that? He will harvest the best of them, put them in his own political party, and leave the carcass to the opposition party.
He's doing that already, and he's doing excellently well with it.
That's why I said he's a genius. He's a political genius. Whether you like him or you don't like him, the way he has worked his way up the food chain in the political ecosystem in Nigeria, you have to give him his credit. He deserves his flowers for that.
And also, I think apart from governors defecting to the APC, we're also seeing party members. We are seeing senators, we are seeing speakers defecting.
Members of House of Representatives on the floor of the House, in their numbers, they are moving to the APC.
To the APC. Even card-carrying members, they are leaving. Those that, they know how to organize people in a particular street to say, they are leaving for the APC.
We call them grassroots mobilizers. If you are losing those ones, how do you win the next elections? Because those are the ones you are going to plant at polling units. They canvass for you on day of election, even before the day of the election. So if you are losing those people, what will happen when the PDP finally decides to field the candidate for the general election? And then who is... I look at the structure of the PDP now, the people in the party, I'm beginning to see how things are shaping up. Who exactly will the PDP present against Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu? But that is a question.
If they explain PDP to you and you understand, you're a genius.
let's go and take weather report this
we
morning.
need to take weather report.
And of course, that will be a convenient point to drop that this morning. And as we go to weather report, we'll be starting with the ancient metropolitan city of hospitality, Ibadan, this morning. And as we speak, weather currently feels like 24 degrees Celsius in Ibadan this morning. And later in the morning, it will rise to 28 degrees Celsius, cloudy in Ibadan at 2%. And isolated thunderstorms in the afternoon at 29 degrees Celsius at 34%. It will be mostly cloudy in the evening at 25 degrees Celsius, and overnight cloudy at 24 degrees Celsius in Ibadan today. So if you are in Ibadan, prepare for the weather situation.
All right, let's cross over to Ekiti southwest this morning, where the feels like 23 degrees Celsius, and later this morning is expected to be around 27 degrees Celsius, cloudy around 7%. In the afternoon, 29 degrees Celsius, scattered thunderstorms around 49%. And in the evening, 23 degrees Celsius, mostly cloudy around 15%. Overnight, 23 degrees Celsius, cloudy around 10%. That's what we have for Ekiti southwest this morning.
All right, moving on to the Center of Excellence this morning, and that's Lagos State. We'll take a report from there this morning as weather currently feels like 29 degrees Celsius in Lagos this morning. It will remain so later in the morning and mostly cloudy at 29 degrees Celsius. It will be mostly cloudy in the afternoon at 29 degrees Celsius. It will drop a little bit to 27 degrees Celsius in the evening and partly cloudy. Mostly cloudy at 26 degrees Celsius overnight in Lagos today.
All right, let's cross over to Ilori Iskwara. Weather this morning feels like 24 degrees Celsius. Later this morning is expected to be around 29 degrees Celsius, mostly cloudy around 1%. And in the afternoon, 33 degrees Celsius, partly cloudy around 8%. In the evening, 26 degrees Celsius, mostly cloudy around 4%. And overnight, 24 degrees Celsius, partly cloudy around 8%. That's what we have for Ilori East. This morning.
Right, still in the southwest this morning, we'll take weather report from Osun State, Osun in Osogbo this morning. Weather currently feels like 24 degrees Celsius in Osogbo, and it will rise to 28 degrees Celsius later in the morning and mostly cloudy. Later in the afternoon, it will rise to 31 degrees Celsius, partly cloudy. It will drop to 24 degrees Celsius in the evening, mostly cloudy, and overnight it will be cloudy at 24 degrees Celsius in Osogbo today.
All right, let's cross over to Abeokuta, South Ogun. Weather this morning feels like 24 degrees Celsius. Later this morning is expected to be around 29 degrees Celsius, mostly cloudy around 4%. And in the afternoon, 30 degrees Celsius, mostly cloudy around 24%. In the evening, 26 degrees Celsius, mostly cloudy around 22%. And overnight, 24 degrees Celsius, partly cloudy around 12%. That's what we have for Abeokuta South this morning.
All right, moving to this north central this morning, and that's Suleja in Niger State, where currently feels like 23 degrees Celsius in Suleja this morning. It will rise to 29 degrees Celsius later in the morning and mostly cloudy. It will be mostly sunny in the afternoon at 32 degrees Celsius, mostly clear in the evening at 26 degrees Celsius. And overnight, it will drop a little bit to 24 degrees Celsius, mostly cloudy in Suleja today.
All right, let's cross over to Port Harcourt Rivers. Weather this morning feels like 21 degrees Celsius. And later this morning is expected to be around 26 degrees Celsius, mostly cloudy around 22%. In the afternoon, 26 degrees Celsius, scattered thunderstorms around 43%. And in the evening, 22 degrees Celsius, partly cloudy around 21%. And overnight, 21 degrees Celsius, cloudy around 24%. That's what we have for Port Harcourt Rivers this morning.
Right in the FCT, the Federal Capital Territory this morning, weather currently feels like 23 degrees Celsius in Abuja. And later in the morning, it will be mostly cloudy, rise to 29 degrees Celsius. It will be partly cloudy in the afternoon at 33 degrees Celsius in Abuja today. And clear in the evening at 27 degrees Celsius. Mostly cloudy overnight at 25 degrees Celsius in Abuja today.
All right, let's cross over to Kano Municipal. Weather this morning feels like 18 degrees Celsius. Later this morning is expected to be around 31 degrees Celsius, partly cloudy around 0%. In the afternoon, 35 degrees Celsius, sunny around 0%. In the evening, 25 degrees Celsius, clear around 0%. And overnight, 22 degrees Celsius, mostly clear around 0%. That's what we have for Kano this morning.
All right, lastly on weather report this morning before we take the news is Kaduna, and weather currently feels like 19 degrees Celsius in Kaduna State this morning, and it will be partly cloudy later in the morning at 29 degrees Celsius. It will be sunny in the afternoon at 33 degrees Celsius. It will be clear at 24 degrees Celsius and 19 degrees Celsius in the evening and overnight, respectively, in Kaduna today. This will be the convenient point to end the weather report this morning. Let's go on a quick break. When we return, we'll take the news. We'll be back.
Live from the heart of the action. Welcome to the nerve center of Next Level Broadcasting.
This is the OB van, where the studio meets the street.
Equipped with cutting-edge cameras, crystal clear audio, real-time switching, and broadcast control, we don't just capture moments, we deliver the experience live.
Anywhere, anytime, from stadiums to red carpets, breaking news to buzzing festivals, weddings, birthdays, and all sorts of ceremonies. We bring the world to your screen in real time.
It's not just a van, it's a complete mobile production house, a command center, a broadcast beast.
This is more than a broadcast. This is the OB Van difference. Live, loud, limitless.
Ready to go live? Like never before. Book the OB Van today and take your event to the world. One powerful broadcast at a time.
To book, call 0705 506 1061 or 0916 101 1061. Email marketing@dominion.org.ng or visit our socials on Instagram @Dominion Broadcast.
Dominion Broadcast, your channel of choice.
Good morning. This is Daybreak News on Dominion Television. I'm Oluwayemi Adelakun. The National Pension Commission has inaugurated the Board of Trustees for PenCare, the Pension Industry Healthcare Initiative, with the pioneer Director General of the Commission, Mohamed Ahmad, named as chairman. The inauguration was performed by the Director General of PENCOM, Omolola Oluwuroro, in Abuja. As chairman of the newly inaugurated board, Ahmad will oversee the strategic direction of the initiative, ensuring strong governance, accountability, and effective service delivery to pensioners. The board is also tasked with accrediting healthcare partners and providing oversight for the implementation of the program. Creative talent within and beyond Oyo State have been invited to submit entries for the Oyo at 50 logo, theme, and mascot design talent as part of activities marking the state's upcoming 50th anniversary. The initiative, announced by the chairman of the Oyo State at 50 Celebrations Committee, Honorable Said Akiade Fijabi, seeks to promote creativity and public participation in the Golden Jubilee celebration scheduled for February 2026. According to Akiade Fijabi, the competition is open to all residents, citizens and friends of Oyo State who can visually express the state journey, reflecting its proud past, vibrant present and forward-looking future. The chairman noted that the celebration will be inclusive, spanning all 6 geopolitical zones of the state and involving every sector, including government institutions, traditional and religious leaders, artisans, students, farmers, entrepreneurs, persons living with disabilities, and youth. Away from Oyo State, the police command in Lagos State has declared activist Omoyele Sowore wanted for allegedly planning to incite public disorder and obstruct major roads in the state. Commissioner of Police Olondare Jimoh disclosed this to newsmen at the Yanoworo section of the 3rd Mainland Bridge. He said the command was closing in on Sowore and others accused of coordinating activities intended to disrupt public peace. According to the Lagos Police Chief, intelligence reports indicated that Sowore and his associates plan to stage demonstrations at strategic locations, including the 3rd Mainland Bridge, Lekki Tollgate, and Freedom Park. Ondo State Police Command has arrested 13 suspects involved in various criminal offences and recovered items valued at 3.6 million naira in recent operations throughout the state. The State Commissioner of Police Adebowale Lawal disclosed this during the press conference at the command's headquarters in Akure. Lawal explained that the suspect faced charges related to cultism, armed robbery, kidnapping, fraud, burglary, theft, and receiving stolen livestock. The Commissioner of Police emphasized that this achievement reflects the command's unwavering commitment to combating crime, protecting lives and property, and enhancing public confidence in the policing.
First, it is resolved to rid the state of criminal elements and ensure the continued safety of all residents through strategic intelligence gathering.
He assured all law-abiding citizens of ongoing protection, improved service delivery, and a peaceful environment that supports social and economic growth. In business this morning, the president of the National Association of Nigerian Travel Agencies, NANTA, Yinka Folami, has revealed that the federal government will soon end the sale of tickets in dollars by foreign airlines. Folami stated this while speaking on the Cultural and Tourism Program in Lagos, describing the cross-border trading in foreign currency as a crime against the economy. He argued that the move by foreign airlines was against the rules, adding that it puts pressure on the naira and foreign exchange. According to him, the challenges are now being addressed by the government following outcries by travel agencies over the menace. And in sports this morning, Super Eagles players are expected to report to camp in 1 week ahead of the 2026 World Cup qualifying playoff clash with Gabon. This was confirmed in a post on the team's official X handle. Nigeria will take on the Panthers on November 13th at the Prince Moulay El Hassan Stadium, Rabat, Morocco. The other playoff semi-final is between DR Congo and Cameroon. The head coach of the Eagles, Eric Chell, is expected to release a list of invited players this week. You can visit our website on www.dominion.org.ng to watch us live and interact with us. You can also follow us across our social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and LinkedIn at Dominion Broadcast and X at Dominioncast. That's the Daybreak News. I'm Oluwayemi Adelako saying thank you for watching and good morning.
Need a professional space to bring your vision to life? Dominion Television Studios offers state-of-the-art facilities perfect for your next broadcast, commercial, corporate video, or live event. With flexible rental options, cutting-edge equipment, and a supportive team, we provide the perfect environment for high-quality productions. Unleash your creativity. For bookings, email us at marketing@dominion.org.ng. Call us on 0705 506 1061 or 0916 101 1061. Check us out on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and TikTok at Dominion Broadcast and on X at Dominioncast. Book your space today. Dominion Television, your channel of choice. a professional space to bring your vision to life? Dominion Television Studios offers state-of-the-art facilities perfect for your next broadcast, commercial, corporate video, or live event. With flexible rental options, cutting-edge equipment, and a supportive team, we provide the perfect environment for high-quality productions. Unleash your creativity. For bookings, email us at marketing@dominion.org.ng. Call us on 0705 506 1061 or 0916 101 1061. Check us out on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and TikTok at Dominion Broadcast and on X at Dominion Cast. Book your space today. Dominion Television, your channel of choice.
Welcome you back. Thank you for staying with us. This is Newspaper Headlines Analysis. My name is Orayemi Adela. When I have with me in the studios, Temitope Eshola, a public affairs analyst and historian. Welcome aboard.
Thank you very much. Good morning.
All right, good morning. Let's start from Vanguard. I have this headline that says, Anambra, INEC vows enhance resort management, credible poll. That headline has this right. IDP warns IPOB, ESN against disruptions. Let's talk about this headline actually, because apart from INEC, coming out to say that we have all it takes to conduct a free and fair election, the IGP is also warning the likes of IPOB and some persons who have the intention of disrupting the elections to say, okay, we have everything on ground to ensure that there's a free and fair election. And of course, this is the first election that the new chair, will be handling. How well do you see this election? How well do you think we are going to achieve a free and fair election? Because a lot of Nigerians are going to judge based on this Anambra election, really.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of persons are going to judge him or watch. This election is going to show whether he can be trusted, moving on. Yeah. Well, personally, I feel regardless of the outcome of the elections, his real colors will be shown at the general election itself. But for the people of Anambra, they need to elect a leader that they want. So if they want to still go with the incumbent governor, good. If they want to change government, they should be allowed to do so through the ballot. So my own concern would be how best the security apparatus puts their house in order to allow for easy movement on the day of the election, and as well as the political climate, the politicians themselves, the governor and the likes. How are they also going into the election? Are they going into it with this do or die approach that they must win at all costs? Because these are the elements subtly that enhances electoral violence, thuggery, and the like. So if the leadership in the states themselves communicates that, you see, this election is not do or die, we are going into this place, let your voice be heard. I think there's a way people would come out more, because some of the reasons why a lot of persons don't come out during elections is because of this constant fear of, there could be riot, there could be issues at the ballot, at the election booth and all. It's kind of make them sit back. So I believe the best way I can assess INEC and the security infrastructure for this coming election is, what is the energy, what's the vibe are they giving the people to say, okay, you know what, come out. And in terms of the measures they've put in place to also ensure that people can, those that come out feel safe being at the election. So at the end of the day, when the result comes out, if there is no clear incident that someone is trying to manipulate the result, I think there's no one that would largely complain.
Okay, I think it's a fine place to leave that election. We do hope for a free and fair election in Anambra State. Let's talk about this headline on The Nation that says, Dewey, I joined APC to stop Bayelsa from being buried with PDP. And that headline asks right that Shatima, Apabio, Yewatda, governors received defectors to ruling parties. This is a very strong statement to say, I tried to avoid Bayelsa State being buried with the PDP. Is it trying to say PDP, is already buried as we speak now, because don't forget, yes, we have some internal wranglings, between some factions in the party, but should we assume that the party is dead, really?
I think we are living in should I call it uncharted territory in the political space. The high influx of opposition guys moving into the ruling party. Yeah, we've had that in time past, but this time around, the succession and the intensity with which they have been putting into the ruling party is the first time really that we are having all of that. So Governor Diri, His Excellency, would obviously try to say anything to just justify his going into the PDP, and just to justify his going into the APC. When PDP was in power for the 16 years, the past 16 years, they were enjoying it. When their son, former Vice President and President Goodluck Jonathan was in power, they didn't say they were being buried, that PDP was burying them. So I see all of this more as a survivor antics. And so he should say he's trying to avoid being drowned, not the state being drowned. So in the scheme of things, Bayelsa obviously featured little when it comes to the political calculations and manipulations. But when it comes to the economic end of things, I believe they still have some form of, should I call it, contribution to make, because they are an oil-producing state. So definitely that counts for something. But I believe when you are doing your political calculation in terms of numbers and the likes, they don't have that numbers that much. So I can understand him for being worried that based on the whole potting moving here and there, it's going to affect him in terms of either getting favors from the ruling party and the like. So if those are, I presume those are some of the concerns he has that made him say, oh, you know what, let me align to the ruling guys. There is no gain being in the opposition, because truly, if you're in the ruling end, you can get a lot of things done. You can get some certain approvals quickened and the like. So I believe all of that is for the sake of survivor. That's why I use the word survivor. But how best does it relate to the average citizens in Bayelsa, I think is left to be seen. Because they have to just oppose it at the end of the day. When they were with the PDP in government, what did they benefit? When they were out of government, what did they benefit? So I presume and I believe that whatever conversations that has been had is largely because they are not in the ruling party. And I think that's just it. So the moment PDP gets back to power, expect that that same structure would move into the party.
I mean, there was a time that the PDP had over 25 governors in the party.
And again, it's also a sign that the PDP has a lot of work to do, a whole lot of work to do. And I don't know, I think this generation of political leaders have killed the party. Already the party was on its way to being buried, but now I think these guys are using their hands practically to bury the party. And it's left to be seen what the incoming generation of the age 35 bracket up and going up gradually can do to salvage the party. If you are leaving the party to these current elements in government and the likes, I don't think PDP will survive another 4 years. But it's left also to be seen what internal structures are going to be put, because they've even destroyed a lot of things.
Speaking of internal structure, let me link this headline to it. I have this one on Vanguard that says, security men shot PDP secretariat amid escalating tensions. Yesterday, you are aware of the counter suspension, the fact that the national chair suspended, Ayawu, that's the national secretary, and some other persons. But then yesterday, Ayawu and the acting chairman, that's Muhammad Abdurrahman, went to the party secretariat. They were barred at first because of the suspension. They were not allowed to enter. But then the police came and then they were allowed to enter. And then the information I got was that even the acting chair enter the office of Elia Damagom, and then sat on the seat and the likes. And now that the security men have shot the secretariat amid all this escalation, because I don't even think the PDP has time for trying to encourage people to join the party. They have a more serious problem to deal with. That's leadership problems, internal wranglings and the likes. What's the way out for the PDP now? Because the court is not helping much, really. The
court has been hijacked. It's no longer the hope of the common man. Is the tool of the rich currently. And it's sad to see. It's sad to see because in any society where law and order, there's a breakdown of law and order, where there's, when you begin to question the integrity of those kept at the helms of dispensing justice. There's a lot, that society is already heading towards a bad place. So I won't say it has gotten that bad or to a field proper level, but that trajectory calls for questioning, and smart mind, wise mind citizens should draw attention to that and see how we can redirect that descent to a much more brighter area. Okay. And PDP for me, because in Nigeria, we must not get to a place where there's just one party, because that's what we're having currently. So all of these wranglings in the PDP, I see it as some of the manifestations of the interference of the ruling party in the affairs with PDP. So going on and moving on, the PDP needs to just figure out a way. Lack foresight now, there's no more vision. A lot of them are just, they're not even lack foresight now, there's no more vision. A lot of them are just, they're not even hungry, but a lot of them are just self-centered, just within power. They have no direction, they have no intention. So, and I've seen that happen even at the local level. So to round up on that, PDP is not dead. PDP is stronger at the local level. So their prominence, their strength at national level have always largely been amplified by their presence. We are seeing currently our calculations ahead of 2027. So they are doing the numbers already. Let's not forget, in the last election, the 3 top candidates won each of them 12 states. Okay. The incumbent president, His Excellency President Tinubu, won 12 states. Atiku won 12 states. Peter Obi won 11 states plus FCT, making it 12. So the numbers, in some ways, doesn't add up if they go into the election the same way. So what we are seeing is a reorganization of the template and the structure of the country. So those votes are being banged on. So you see a lot of, and if you look at it strategically, in the southeast and the south-south, APC struggled in the last election because they didn't really have any presence in the southeast, south-south. So what do you see today? You see a large number of the Akwa Ibom has gone in.
I mean, look at the Bayelsa governor.
Bayelsa now has gone in. Anambra election, even though he hasn't gone in, he's basically professing and wearing the cap of the president. So you can already start seeing that movement, that tempo. So all of those things are just moves towards the coming election. And PDP, as far as I'm concerned, are not ready for a national election. Because even the court has even barred them from holding the convention, which was to take place this week. So I hope that new leadership would rise out of the PDP. And I feel that's the only saving grace, because it can't be the same element that have gotten the party to this point that would still usher them into a new era. So we have to just do away with certain set of leadership at this moment. And even if it's going to take them a whole election cycle of 2 years, of 2 election cycles to get it right, I believe PDP can still get it right. Because they are, as far as I'm concerned, they're still the largest properly entrenched grassroots party in Nigeria today.
We look out for how that will play out, concerning the PDP. Let's talk about this headline on The Punch that says Tinubu moves to appoint new ambassadors amid U.S. tension. President meets Stuttgart today. U.S. federal government officials are deep in talks. Yesterday, I even read it in the news that, there were speculations that the president, was going to meet, J.D. Vance, that's the vice president. But then, it was actually, the presidency came out to say that's not true. If at all the president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, will meet with anyone, that's going to be the United States president. But now, Nigerians are asking, is it because the U.S. weighed in on this matter? That's when the federal government, is trying to, select. I think there was a time that some ambassadors were screened, but they were not assigned. So what happened? So is it because, okay, let's assume that the U.S. did not win on this matter. So the talks about let's have ambassadors across, the top, nations of the world will not have, emerged, really.
We have a president that I would consider a local champion. He's smart. He's a strategic politician, but much of his strength is on the home front, where you can easily manipulate a lot of things and get away with it. But on the national scale, there's a lot of question, especially with regards to his emergence as president. And not many countries even congratulated him at the time he won the election. perception also is not in its favor, both on the African front and international front. So Nigeria, for all of its potentials, has not been regarded. That's one. Secondly, it also calls to question his ability in the diplomatic space. He came into government in 2023, and for any serious country, let me put it that way, you need to have relationship with the top economies of the world. And your ambassador to those countries is the one that helps you ensure that, oh, your conversation, your interactions, diplomatic ties with these countries are at the very top gear. Yeah. Now, away from even the Trump issues coming up, it also calls to question that the Nigerian government in some way has no regard for Nigerians living in the US, has no regard for the Nigerians living in Russia, living in China, because we don't have ambassadors to Russia, we don't have ambassadors to China, we don't have ambassadors to America. So when issues are going on affecting Nigerians in that locality, in those communities, in those countries, who speaks for the Nigerian community there? Which government? Because when you are the ambassador, you are regarded as the president of the country in that place. So nothing is being done without you being informed, without follow-up and the like. So it means in the last couple of months, years, we've had no sort of representation over there. When the whole trade issue came up, the Americans, it means that we also did not pay any attention to it, to say we want to even check in. When the Russian crisis with Ukraine and the likes was going on, it means we don't have any representative out there that is looking out for Nigerians to say, oh, the Nigerian community, are they safe, are they okay, are they this? So there's a lot of questions that I'm sure over time, in the coming weeks and days, would dig deeper into this issue, but it's a very bad thing, very, very bad, at least on the diplomatic scene. We're regarded as one of the top economies in Africa. Our country, when it comes to oil, we are the 6th largest producing oil nation in the world. All of this counts for something in the diplomatic space where you can wield your influence and the likes. So it just means that we have been quiet and docile on the international scene. So that's why a lot of things, it explains why a lot of things are also not going well when it comes to how we are being perceived, how we are not even able to get certain things done across the world. And look at it. Look at the kind of leadership Trump is giving the United States, China as well, Russia as well. There's this firm control of, oh, we regard our citizens, we treat them well. So even when they come into your country, you can't harass them, you can't treat them wrongly without questions being asked. But here, we can't say the same. So going on, Mr. President has to figure out a way to get the United States to see him as someone that truly cares for his citizens. And why this is going to be a very tricky terrain for him to move is, the US president would not come out and tweet certain details or information if they were not true. Before they will come into anywhere, they always look for legitimate causes and reasons. So the facts are right. So, and for the president also, he has not done well in terms of the presidency for the citizens themselves to trust him. Because under the same administration, we've seen them tweaking statistics to suit their agenda. So you can't come out and tell me that the US is lying, that certain people are not being killed, when we as citizens already know that whether Christian or Muslim, people are being killed on a daily basis in the North. So which figure, which statistics is the presidency bringing forth to say, oh, the accusation of the United States is faulty? Let's not even forget that we rely largely on instruments, on facilities, infrastructures of the United States for our defense system.
No, they have said that if care is not taken, they might cut all the funds.
They
that
should.
Nigeria is getting.
They should. Actually, they should.
Do you think we can stand on our own without their
The
funds?
only reason why I would not clamor for it is that we don't have a government that truly cares about the people.
Okay.
So if we were to have a government that truly cared and was interested in investing in its people, developing its people, yes, I would say that, because that would amplify the ability for citizens to get on and work on stuff. But these aids and the likes, in some way, largely tend to help in the areas where the government is not functioning. But sadly also, when these aids also come, it enters the pocket of the same politicians. So in the real sense of it, the aid doesn't get like that to the people that really need it. It's politicians that walk home with the cash and just come up and say, oh, we did one conference, we did one this, we did one outreach, or we did one program, and the money will not get to the people that is meant to get to. And with the US come and start monitoring all of that, they'll tell you, oh, we've given cash fund or something to 10,000 Nigerians. Oh, how many 10,000 how many of the 10,000 Nigerians do you want to go and engage to say, oh, was this given? So the truth is, a large chunk of the money in terms of aids do not even get to the citizens. And that's one of the reasons why in the very first place, the Trump administration closed down USAID, because when they did their review, they realized the resources that was coming in, you can't really measure the impact on the country itself. It was just politicians that were getting it. So, and to add, there is no way, based on the way Trump had spoken and the likes, that Nigeria is just going to get access to, that's the Nigerian president was just going to get access to the US president just like that by saying you want to go and visit him. No, it doesn't work that way. So what I see happening is the government has to show between now and I think what the government is saying is that the G20 summit might be a good place
in
for
South
them
Africa.
to meet. So that's a big place. They'll just have a conversation, they'll prepare a room in the conference space where they can just quickly go in and have conversations. But we all know that he's a deal maker, so we believe that he should be able to have conversations with him. But it also calls the hypocrisy of the Nigerian government as well. And why am I putting a lot of pressure on the Nigerian government? Is that long before now, even on this show and many other shows across the country, we've always had conversations about insecurity, and the government seems to just be quiet. So why is it that it is when Trump raised it that the Nigerian government now seems to have an answer for it? And all of a sudden, Trump tweeted on, I think, Thursday night. By Friday morning, the military is already doing tweets release that they've captured the terrorists. Before 24 hours ago, they've already announced, and I'm like, from where to where? So people can function. So what changed between just barely 24 hours of President Trump's statement to us entering the dens and capturing terrorists and displaying them for the world to see? So I feel all of these things are still propaganda, and this government loves it. They even came into power through propaganda, and they live and they will die by it.
It's a funny situation. Let's just hope that, this, just like you mentioned, this pressure that is being put on the Nigerian army will continue, to a point whereby we can tackle insecurity.
Yeah,
but briefly, let's talk about this headline on Nigerian News Direct that says, Lagos police declare Showore wanted as activists alleges shoot on site order. I don't know. You are aware that Showore was recently released. He was arrested at the court. I know he's used to being arrested, but then at this point, should he not, pipe down a little bit? In as much as he wants to defend the people, give them a voice, but then he should be careful about his own person. For someone who has the intention of becoming the president of Nigeria one day, honestly.
There's this saying that wisdom is profitable to direct.
Yeah.
So I think that's what is missing in his interaction with whoever it is. So now at this point, I can't say it's the president, I can't say it's the federal government, I can't say it's the police, I can't. So he's the one that needs to sit and assess it. So the thing, and I think the when it comes to activism, and which is an issue I currently have with current students of Aluta, that meaning students in the university and the likes, when it comes to activism and the likes, is that we seem to always assume that I'm looking for the right word, we seem to assume that the way it operated in 1971 is the way the world still runs today. That skill, that tool, that process in the book, these guys have read it, overread it, and they've finished it up and all. So I feel like he still thinks that whatever issues he currently has can be sorted out by we won't agree, we're forceful, we are this. And that's why I use the word wisdom is profitable to direct. To round up, it's basically just my own advice would be that you should sit down and count the costs. I believe that there are ways that these issues can still be, whatever issues is ongoing, can still be resolved in such a way that the dignity of both parties, whoever they may be, are still largely retained in the eye of the people. And it can move on, because the truth is, whether we like him or we don't like him, he's a Nigerian. And whatever happens to him is a template for how any other Nigerian can be dealt with or harassed or treated. So for that purpose, I believe that I want him to be all right. I want him to be able to go through whatever process. If he has grievances, he should get them aired. And if he needs to sort it out, he should sort it out in an amicable fashion. He still wants to go for president. He still has his own life to live. He still has his businesses to focus on. And I believe if he can sort all of this, he'll be able to move on with life and target whatever goals he also has as well. And
Definitely.
I think that's a nice place to put
We
it.
wish him well. We wish him well, honestly. Big thanks to you, Temitope Eshola, for being a part of the show.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. All right, it's a fine place to leave it this morning. Stay with us because big story will come up soon. Samson Balogun is standing by. We'll be right back.
Live from the heart of the action. Welcome to the nerve center of Next Level Broadcasting.
This is the OB van, where the studio meets the street.
Equipped with cutting-edge cameras, crystal clear audio, real-time switching, and broadcast control, we don't just capture moments, we deliver the experience live.
Anywhere, anytime, from stadiums to red carpets, breaking news to buzzing festivals, weddings, birthdays, and all sorts of ceremonies. We bring the world to your screen in real time.
It's not just a van, it's a complete mobile production house, a command center, a broadcast beast.
This is more than a broadcast. This is the OB van difference. Live, loud, limitless.
Ready to go live? Like never before. Book the OB van today and take your event to the world. One powerful broadcast at a time.
To book, call 0705 506 1061 or 0916 101 1061. Email marketing@dominion.org.ng or visit our socials on Instagram @Dominion Broadcast.
Dominion Broadcast, your channel of choice.
Good morning and welcome to the big story here on Daybreak Live. I'm Samson Balogun. Today we are going deep into a conversation that bridges national security, international reputation, and religious faith. The world is watching Nigeria, and one global leader has just declared our country disgraced unless we face critical issues around faith and freedom. Then we ask, what does this declaration really mean? Is our security apparatus faltering? Are faith communities under attack? And what underlies the global gaze on Nigeria at this moment? Stay with us as we unpack this story from every angle, because it matters not only for headlines, but for the heartbeat of our nation. Thank you for joining us on this show this morning. Now, let's take a critical look at this whole scenario. For decades, The global economic script felt preset. Africa drills the oil, the West refines it, and buys it back again at triple the price with gratitude. You can imagine that. Now, enter the project by Aliko Dangote, a 650,000 barrel per day refinery in Nigeria. That didn't just tweak the plot, it rewrote it. The first migraine against the US was fuel export numbers when they started switching. West Africa, once a loyal customer, quietly said, no, thanks, we'll refine at home. Next came the petrodollar sneeze. If Nigeria begins trading refined products in Naira, Yuan, or even an Afri-Pay, a currency designed for African countries, just like the euros in Europe, that's a direct jab to the global economy. And then the third point, Africa's biggest refinery means fewer tankers from Texas and more from Lagos under African control. Fourth, the refinery's partnership with China and India shakes America's former monopoly on global influence. Let's talk about the fifth one, which is symbolism. Dangote built a mirror, reflecting Africa's potential, not its dependency. You can see what we can do if we do it together as Africans. Dangote singularly gave Africans a mirror. So, Dangote's refinery isn't just refining oil, it's refining pride, power, and possibility. And for the first time, the biggest gas leak in the room isn't from Nigeria, it's from America's nerves. Into this scene steps Donald Trump, labeling Nigeria a disgraced country over alleged religious freedom violations. The question looms, is this rhetoric or sign of deeper security and faith breakdown in the country? Meanwhile, inside the US, violence and instability present their own contradictions. Approximately 46,728 firearms-related deaths recorded in the US in the year 2023. A violent crime every 24.6 seconds. A rape every 3.9 minutes. Nearly 1 in 5 US women have experienced attempted or completed rape. So what moral high grounds allow America to police global security and faith? That's a question we'll ask this morning. And history reminds us, US intervention in Libya, Iraq, Syria, Afghanistan, Yemen, and so many other places all began with promises of swift stability that escalated into prolonged wars. What does America stand to gain in intervening in Africa? Strategic dominance, access to oil and mineral wealth, control of economic pathways, petrodollar protection, or military positioning. With all these factors in play, Trump's remarks become more than criticism. They become a front in a geopolitical struggle. Nigeria stands at a crossroad of sovereignty, dignity, and global power play. Thank you for joining us this morning. And to help us unpack this critical issue and topic is a seasoned public affairs analyst who is a good governance advocate. I have with me in the studio this morning, Ignatius Ofino Eboselume. Good to have you in the studio.
Good morning, Samson Balogun. I'm delighted to be here this morning.
You heard what I just said.
I heard everything, the narratives.
The US is knocking the door. Is an invasion looming in Africa? Don't forget, let me put this into context. Recently, there was a power shift in some francophone countries in Africa. And that was Niger, Burkina Faso. Of course, we have Mali. And they actually shifted from democracy to what we call the military rule in their countries. The intervention of ECOWAS was met by criticism by the African people themselves. Leave them. Let them do it their way. And President Bola Ahmed Tinubu was at the helm of affairs as the president, and of course of Nigeria and the chairman of ECOWAS at the time. They were to sanction some countries. And all of a sudden, the president went silent. ECOWAS went silent. And they left Burkina Faso, Gabon, and Mali, including our neighbors, Niger Republic, to do their thing their own way. Don't forget, at that time, they sent every expatriate and every American, French, or Belgian envoy in their countries out of the country to handle their thing their own way. So, I want to ask you again, is an invasion looming in Africa?
I want to crave for your indulgence. I'm going to sing the two national anthems of the two countries, the United States of America and Nigeria.
Right.
The American anthem. Oh, say can you see by the dawn's early light was so proudly we hail at the twilight last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight of the rampart we watch, we are so gallantly streaming, and the rocket red glare, the bomb bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does by the star-spangled banner yet wave. Oh, the land of the free and the home of the brave. The Nigerian anthem. Nigeria, we hail thee, our own dear native land. Though tongue and tribe may differ, in brotherhood we stand. Nigeria's come, I'm proud to serve our sovereign motherland. Our flag shall be a symbol that truth and justice reign. In peace and battle, honor, and this we count as gain. To hand unto our children a banner without stain. O God of all creation, grant this our one request. Help us to build a nation where no one is oppressed, and so with peace and plenty Nigeria may be blessed.
Welcome back, Ofino. Welcome back from
We have to celebrate those two countries. The United States happen to be one of the greatest countries in the world. Nigeria happen to be one of the greatest countries in Africa, and also a great country. But here there is a diplomatic row between the United States of America and the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Now, when you are talking about foreign policies of government, the United States has its own foreign policy. Nigeria has its own foreign policy as well. Nigerian foreign policy is centered on what? On Africa. Africa happens to be its centerpiece. And there is what we call non-alignment and non-interference. That has been the Nigerian foreign policy. But when we are talking about American foreign policy, it is aimed at promoting the United States interest all around the world. Economic interest, military interest, democratic values, and fundamental human rights. But here there is a problem on ground. Let's go back to the narrative. Boko Haram happened to be a religious sect in Nigeria, dating 2009, when they started the crisis. We all knew what happened to Muhammad Yusuf, the founder of Boko Haram. And when you are talking about Boko, Boko means what? Book. Western education. Haram means it is forbidden. So at the end of the day, we all knew what happened. He started like a what? Like a local terrorist. And everything went escalated. But here now, America has a duty and also an international obligation to defend every defenseless citizens all around the world. America have decided to establish what we call military bases all over the world. But there is one thing we have to remember. During the Cold War era, the world was existing as a bipolar world. When we talk about when we talk about bipolar, it means a geopolitical system whereby you have two dominant superpowers. And we have two dominant superpowers then. Who are they? We have the United States of America, one. Then we have what we call Union of Socialist Soviet Republic, USSR. Now, Russian Federation. Those were the two dominant superpowers in the world at that time. So countries in the world were aligning and realigning based on their preferred choice. That was one.
An interest.
An interest. Then again, after the post-World War II era, America felt that there was the need for them to engage in what we call dent with countries around the world. That was what led to the issue of establishment of NATO, non-Atlantic trade, non-Atlantic treaty organization, trade organization, NATO. It was there in Europe. So NATO happened to be one of the greatest allies of America. So when we look at what is actually going on in the world, there is one thing you must understand. There is no morality in international politics. No morality. The international conspiracy is there. Nigeria has happened to be one of the closest allies of the United States. And what the United States have succeeded in doing, there is what we call economic aid to countries. Though, when you look at those aid, I call it debt in AIDS. We don't need AIDS. We don't need grants in Africa. What we need is science and technology. We have the crude, but do we have the capacity to refine the crude? We have the iron ore. Can we transform iron ore to steel so that we can be able to manufacture cars, build automobiles? No, we don't have the technology. The West have the technology. So when we are talking about international politics, it's a game that is defined by international conspiracy, and there's no morality about it.
Now, when you look at the current situation, it has a religious undertone.
Yes.
But there are facts that says that even in these places that are being highlighted, in certain parts of the country called Nigeria, which Christian killings are being muted, even Muslims are dying in those places. And if you look at in the northeast, the majority of people being killed by the Boko Haram, they are Muslims. No, how do the American people, and of course the American government, come to the conclusion that it is the killing of Christians? Does it have a political undertone beyond what the Nigerian people are saying? And most definitely, we'll see a video of the NSA talking about how they have captured, just within the space of the announcement by the US, that they have captured some criminals, and of course they have killed some Boko Haram members in the Far East. We'll see that video. That was the chairman of the NSA from Nigeria. And when we come back, there's a lot to unpack, but most definitely, let's go see this particular material. We'll be back.
That have gone decisively. We put pictures to them. They have names. These are people who are in charge of territories. Those who inflicted terrible, terrible pain on our people. Murderers. You have seen them. Kachalla, Gurugu, Tankasina. There are many. Sonunu, they are here. All these pictures you are seeing, they are gone. They are no more with us. They are the murderers. There are people who cause trouble for us. See the pictures of them. Look at them. None of them today is alive. And a clear warning to those who are still there. Your time is up. If you do not stop, you are going to end up like these people. Just see the
Nigeria. Just wanted to ask you, do you envisage US boots on the ground?
Could be. I mean, a lot of things Thank you, President Trump. Yeah.
Thank
You did it.
Putting
I love you.
control of CPC.
Yes. Yes.
Make it happen. The best president in the whole wide world.
Yes.
God bless you, Trump.
God bless you, Trump.
Good. More to come. More to come.
Yes.
All right, welcome back from that short break. You saw those materials.
Yes, I saw those videos.
Trump was saying something about the country Nigeria. It was going to be swift. It was going to be easy. You saw some Nigerians, particularly from a particular region in the country. If you heard the intonation, you would know where that is from. They were really happy that Trump made that statement. And then we saw what Malam Ruhu Ribadu also said, the NSA, saying, look, we are putting faces to these criminals and we are doing what we think is best for the Nigerian people. And there's an insinuation that fighting terrorism is like fighting your own people because they are Nigerians too and they live in Nigeria. So sometimes when you try to attack terrorists, you might be attacking your own people too because you don't even know who is who when you get in there. Now, let's go back to the drawing board. The announcement by Donald Trump, was it worth celebrating? And after that, the Nigerian people are happy. You saw that they are in the diaspora and they're happy that that announcement was made. And should we have waited for Donald Trump to make such announcement before we start clamping down on terrorists in Nigeria?
There is one thing I've discovered in Nigeria. We keep playing politics with everything. Playing politics with human lives. The fundamental objective of state policy is centered on security and human welfare. And this has been enshrined in the Nigerian Constitution. No one can blame a man for violating a law that he knows does not exist. But the lawless are those who deliberately violate the law in order to satisfy their ignoble ambition and inordinate desire. We are talking about religious extremism. We are talking about human life that is being wasted. An assertion, do you know what he said? He said when it comes to the issue of religious argument, man tends to be irrational. So if it's a sensitive issue, you are first a human being before being a Muslim or a Christian. You are first a human being before being a Yoruba man or an Igbo man. We are talking about human dignity. The laws are there. The laws regulate our life. Now, the issue of Boko Haram started as a religious sect. Later, it escalated when their leader was being executed under mysterious circumstances by government forces. We all knew what happened. At the end of the day, from a religious sect, it became a local terrorist organization. And you remember that during the days of Muhammadu Buhari, Nigeria was being classified as a terrorist state. That Boko Haram happened to be the fourth deadliest terrorist organization in the world. So when we are talking about terrorist organization in the world, we have Hezbollah, we have Hamas, we have Houthis, we have Boko Haram, we have ISIL, we have ISIS is there. The Taliban was also classified as a terrorist organization. We all knew what happened in the year 2001. The bombing of the World Trade Center, September 11. So that was what changed the narrative concerning the U.S. involvement in the world, concerning the issue of terrorism. Sometimes the West is being accused of even fueling crisis in the Middle East and also in Africa. There was serious allegation against the West. There are some of these terrorist organizations
are being funded
secretly by the West. So you can see what is actually going on. The scramble for resources. Remember what happened in 1884/1885 where Africa was being partitioned. When you read the book written by Walter Rooney, How Europe Underdeveloped Africa by Walter Rooney. So the problem is there. Can Africa ever be free? When you look at the narrative, the history of the world is the history of wars. From wars came slavery. From slavery came what we call colonialism. From colonialism came what we call political independence to free the colonies. Then after that came what we call neo-colonialism. Now what we are having presently is what we call economic imperialism. The resources is limited. Population keep increasing. Then how do you satisfy human wants? And let me give an instance. Look at China. China and America engage themselves in trade war. Now the era of bipolar world has gone. Now when you look at what is going on between America and China today, there is a trade war.
Stronger countries around the world. We have the US, we have China, there is India, there is Russia. They are all fighting for whatever it is that is left in Africa. Now, if we go by what is currently happening as we speak, is it time for Nigeria to completely identify that they are also loyal to China and Russia?
That will negate our foreign policy. Non-alignment. That's the key. Nigeria is going to make diplomatic relationship with US. Nigeria will make diplomatic relationship with China. It's going to make with Russia too. That is it. That Nigeria is going to be friend of everyone. That is how it should be. Neutrality. So when we are talking about international affairs and international relations, the problem has always been international conspiracy. What do I stand to gain? What do I stand to lose as a sovereign nation? Now when you are talking about the United Nations, 90% of the funds come from which country?
The US.
From the United States. When you are talking about the veto power, who have the veto power? It's the United States. So I don't call them United Nations. I call them Disunited Nation. How will it is consummated by fear? It's consummated by fear and terror. That's the problem. If I'm an advocate of global peace, but religious freedom. So when we are talking about Islamic jihad, there used to be what we call Christian crusade in the 19th century, but it's gone. We are in modern era. So the issue of having that idea of Islamic jihad in moral era, you are going to inflict pains and cause several deaths. So the issue there is this: when we come to the issue of religious freedom, US happened to be an advocate. Probably that was why Trump raised an observation. After raising his observation too, Nigerian government has also failed, because these local terrorists were trying to overrun the country. There was one time they were able
to create territories.
Yeah, create territories, because Nigerian government were playing politics over it. Now, there is what we call religious sentiment, tribal sentiment in our country. This is a country that was founded on mutual suspicion. The mutual suspicion is there. When Muhammadu Buhari was there, he was in the best position to flush out these terrorists. Look at the issue of killer herdsmen. They come from a particular tribal sect. So there is a lot of problem in this country. There must be what we call diplomatic solution concerning what is going on between America and Nigeria. Both countries are great countries in the world. But there is one thing you must understand, that America has that international obligation to defend defenseless citizens in the world, 1, 2, and to fight against terrorist organizations in the world and the parties in the north. The Nigerian constitution does not protect the northern minorities who are Christians. We have to be honest to ourselves. You have to separate religion from state affairs. And the only way to solve the problem between the United States for now and Nigeria is using the way we call diplomatic solution. The Americans also felt that Nigerian government has betrayed the American interests, because Nigeria happened to
I was about to come to that.
Yes, Nigeria happened to be one of the closest allies to America. Now Nigeria is drifting away. It started during the days of Muhammadu Buhari. They were partnering with what? With China. Partnering with China. Getting loan from China, everything like that. But US have forgotten one thing, that there is a clause in our foreign policy, non-alignment. Nigeria has the right to belong to America. We Nigeria also have the right to belong to the United Kingdom. We have the right to make friends with France.
Very quickly, let me quickly say this and ask you this question. Nigeria is busy obnobbing with BRICS, which is against the policy of the US. Now, what position would Nigeria be as an honorary member of the BRICS? If Nigeria eventually joins BRICS, what would that mean for the Americans?
Nigeria will have joined BRICS, but it was a conspiracy from South Africa. BRICS, and we are trading among BRICS, and we are trading among members of BRICS. The tendency is there for Nigerian currency to have value the more. So the Americans feel that this is a threat. There is nothing America can do about it. It's not like the issue that happened between Russia and Ukraine. Ukraine wanted to join NATO. Russia resisted because there is what we call the principle of neutrality in international politics. That Ukraine was not supposed to register with NATO because that will pose a threat to Russia as a country.
Because there will be a military base of the US.
I will never allow Mexico to sign a defense pact with Russia. Because the tendency is there for Russia to have a military base.
Right at their backyard.
Right at their backyard. So international politics is at play.
Which is synonymous to sleeping on a knife.
Yes, it's there. When we are talking about violence in the United States, it is more. But the United States is still a liberal society. Because there is the problem of gun running. That is why Trump is trying to look for a way. How can we be able to reenact that law that allow people to hold arms, private individuals, that it must be reduced because it poses a threat. And you can see under the influence of drug. That is why President Donald Trump is trying to fight against drug barons in Mexico and in Latin America, even in Venezuela. The fight is there. When we are having a lot of problems like gun running in America, it's as a result of the influence of what? Drugs!
Now, let's take this very quickly before we go, because our time is fast spent on this show, and I really wish we had more time to discuss this. But then, if you look at the current situation, when if war breaks in a country, who supplies weapon to the rebels and, of course, to the country?
Who supply
weapon to the rebels and the country?
That is what we call, when we are talking about conventional war, the tendency is there for a ruling government to seek for arms. But there is what we call arms embargo. How do those militants get their arms? They get it also from the West. Because West, we have companies in the West that manufacture weapons. So it's there. They don't pass through the legal route. They pass through the illegal route. Because when you want to buy weapons in the world, there is what we call the international weapon market. Whereby you have to tell the countries, why do you want to buy weapons? Let me give you an instance. Iran was declared as the axis of evil by the United Nations, by the United States, rather, axis of evil. Because Iran has proxy allied like Hezbollah, Hamas, Houthis in Yemen, and they're all terrorist organizations. That is why the United Nations, United States, doesn't want Iran to go on with their nuclear program. Because they feel that if they allow Iran to go on with their nuclear program, the tendency is there. Because they are also religious by God. Shite. The tendency is there for them. The tendency is there for them to launch what we call religious war against other countries in the world through jihadism. So there is a lot of problem on ground. You cannot just say you want to wake up today, you want to build armament. Can you be able to tolerate others, even at the slightest provocation?
Okay, now, very quickly before we go, what are practical steps should Nigeria take now to restore global confidence in its ability to protect every faith in the country?
The Dubai government sent a list to Nigeria during the days of Muhammadu Buhari. That these are the sponsors of terrorism.
But today nobody has talked about it.
The time has come for Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu to act on it swiftly. Anyone that is culpable should be prosecuted. Law. So when Trump said that he's going to freeze the account of those sponsoring terrorism, he knew what he was saying. The information is already on his table everywhere. They have spies all over the world. They have military bases all over the world. America as a country love Nigeria. So if Trump is saying that a disgraced country, to me, my heart bleeds. That this is a country that is blessed with resources. The paradox of poverty in the midst of plenty. This country was not supposed to be poor. It has resources, human resources, natural resources. But look at they are suffering. They are coming to our country. They want to apply for American visa. They want to apply for American visa. And Trump is saying, go back to your country. Go and develop your country. You have the resources. You have the wherewithal. You have the knowledge. That is what Trump is trying to say. Indirectly, he's also saying, You can revolt against your government who have turned themselves against you as oppressors.
Obino Ibo Salime, we have to go. Our time is fast spent on this show.
Thank you for having me.
I sure wish that we had more time to discuss this
Thank you for
particular
having me,
topic and, of
Samson.
course, extend it better. But thank you for joining us on the show.
Thank you, Samson.
This morning. This will be the convenient point to leave it on this show this morning. Now, as America roars and Nigeria reacts, let's see what will happen. The federal character says it all. And, of course,
Yes, and I'm glad to be back here. Well done. And this morning on Trend Watch, we have an interesting topic, that we've talked about. I think you even discussed it, before now. That says opposition fueling Christian genocide narrative. That's coming from Wiki. I think before now, Wiki has not said anything about this whole thing. And then online, I think some top short, we're calling out Wiki. For instance, now, the younger brother to Ayofayoshi called out Wiki to say, this man that is always talking about all of these things is yet to say anything about this whole genocide. Apart from him, I think even influencers online are saying, why is it that Wiki has not said anything about this matter? But I know Wiki so well, and I know he's going to respond, and he has come out to say that opposition parties are fueling these. And I think this is not right. I do not agree with this claim to say that opposition parties are fueling this whole genocide thing. I think it's gone beyond opposition parties, because I think that before the United States can come to this conclusion, they came to Nigeria. From what I read, delegates were sent to Nigeria. People granted interviews. They went to some certain states. I don't know if you've seen videos online where some, pastors, bishops, were talking about the fact that, the United States, we are calling on you, come and save us and the likes. I just hope at the end of the day, we do not lose focus on the major thing we want to tackle, which is insecurity, because Christians, Muslims, and even traditionalists are killed. I don't know whether you remember, there was a time last year, some kings, Yoruba kings, in this country, right, they were killed repeatedly, one after the other. We had Muslims among them, we had Christians, we had traditionalists. So insecurity is one big problem we want to solve. So let's stop shifting blames to say, okay, opposition parties, IPOB also commended, the United States, president's statement when he came out to say, thank you for finally listening to us about, this Christian genocide. It's a lot to unpack. So, but then I do not agree with Wiki's claim to say that opposition parties are responsible, for fueling this.
You see, when you play politics with everything and anything, this is what you get to see. I mean, this is no longer about politics. It's about the Nigerian people. And I think the government should, swing into action and get things done the right way. Recently, there was a video of Reverend Dachomo in the Middle Belt who cried bitterly about how some persons are being killed in the Middle Belt, and that includes Plateau, Benue, in fact, at a part of Kogi too, where there were serious killings in those places. Mass burials were being done in those areas. And then the question is, what is the government doing to make sure they forestall these kind of killings? And nobody has said anything about it. And there was a time they said, the bandits came, they killed, and then it was hours after that the operatives of the security agencies came on ground, and then it was more or less like a reactive measure rather than being proactive. So we cannot afford to, continue to waste lives of people and then pin that blame on religion and at the same time on politics. I mean, these are two different things. And over the time, the Nigerian government has successfully, divided the Nigerian people across religious, party, and of course, ethnic lines. This is something that really shouldn't have happened. First of all, we must all learn that we are from different regions, and then we are all Nigerians at the same time. Regardless of how much you want to say, you are from the east, you are from the west or the north, this still brings us together. The name Nigeria brings us together, meaning that whether you like it or not, we still have to live together in peace and harmony. And this is the thing the government must work assiduously to make sure they achieve. But for Wike to come out and say, the film is being funded by, the opposition party in the country. Who are the opposition party? It belongs to the opposition party. The fact that
he's part of the opposition.
I'm just saying, he belongs to the opposition party. He's not a member of the APC. He eats on their table. Yes. He has an appointment with the APC. Yes. But he's not a member of the APC, meaning he belongs to the opposition party. So if he's saying it is being funded by the opposition party, meaning he's one of them. So he really has to wake up and then say these things the way it should be.
Okay.
We cannot continue to have this kind of situation in the country.
I also think Wike is more of an APC person than a PDP person.
I still regard him as a PDP person.
You have a very good point.
Right.
But just looking at the permutations and his activities over time. But then one more thing is, just to add to your point, is not about opposition party. It's about what Nigerians can see. It's about the investigation that the United States have carried out and what they found out about this all killings. Let's go back to the Owo massacre, Christian massacre. Massacred, right. in their hundreds. And then another case is in Castina, some persons were killed in the mosque, right in the mosque. Muslims.
So are we going to say those ones that were killed in the mosque are Christians? So it cuts across different religions,
definitely,
even traditional.
That's what we are trying to say. Even in Niger State, the Shiroro people, a lot of them were killed. So it cuts across, different states, different religions. So the beast we want to tackle is insecurity. Let's be done with shifting of blames to say these people are fueling this. Okay, these people, they want to unseat President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Let's tackle insecurity once and for all.
You see, the major reason we have been unable to tackle insecurity effectively in the country is a lack of intelligence gathering. We have not been able to gather enough intelligence, and if you don't have intelligence, there's nothing you can do. Whether as a security agency, if you belong in the judiciary, or most definitely if you are in the executive arm of government, there's nothing you can do without intelligence. Now, if the American people have more intelligence about Nigeria than the Nigerian people themselves, I think there is crisis, and we have to invest heavily in intelligence gathering. Well, this will be the convenient point to draw the curtains on today's edition of the show, and of course, Daybreak Live on Dominion Television. Keep joining us on this show all through the week. Same time, same station, same host. Samson Balogun is my name. As we go and leave you on this show this morning, keep being safe out there. Really important. Bye for now.
All right, thank you for being a part of the show. Do well to join us tomorrow for another edition on Daybreak Live. And until then, be safe and also be your brother's keeper. Thank you for being a part of the show. Oluwayemi Adelakun is my name.